cooking and selling Malaysian food in Australia for the last 25 years, so no problems there. But I'm a little bit nervous today because for the first time ever, I'm cooking Malaysian food for a group of paying customers at tonight's special wine dinner at the Shangri-La Tanjung Resort here in Sabah. Now, I've got a great team of chefs in the kitchen and they're helping me out with some of my recipes, so let's go and see what they're doing. In my restaurant and at my market stalls, I cook essentially what I try to recreate authentic Malaysian flavors, and a lot of my dishes are just straight out Malaysian dishes, things like ayam goreng, otak otak, kway teow siram, and that sort of stuff. But because tonight we're having a special wine dinner and I'm trying to think out of the box because people are paying money to eat this, a fair bit of money. So we're trying to be a little bit creative with some of our menu, and I gave my recipes to the team here at Tanjung a few weeks ago. I've got this spring roll. Usually this is the recipe I gave them was for my popiah, my fresh popiah. The filling is the same, but they've made it into a mini spring roll because wine dinner is full of little finger foods and that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit out of my comfort zone because I make things like quite large and big serves and that sort of stuff. Okay, I've tried this a little bit and I've asked them to adjust it a little bit because I've got pretty strong taste buds, and it's quite interesting because I've run cooking classes in Australia for the longest time, and you know, in a class of 25 students, the same recipe given to all these different groups invariably seems to produce flavors that are quite different despite them looking at the same set of instructions and same set of ingredients. So I'm encountering that a little bit today, and what I've asked them to do is essentially with this spring roll is if they can make a hoisin-based sauce to go with it, because remember, this is my recipe for my fresh popiah, which usually I would brush the fresh popiah skin with some hoisin sauce with. So this is what they've done. They've done a fabulous job with this. So the sweetness in the hoisin sauce is going to counteract some of the more salty flavors in the spring roll. So this will work perfectly. Again, like I said, you know, this is a mini spring roll, and my popiah is usually about this size. but the flavors are essentially the same. Now, the other thing I've done is given them my otak otak recipe, and they're going to cook the otak otak for me now. Instead of using just fish meat in the otak otak, we're also adding some crab meat in it just to give it a little point of difference. Now in Malaysia, well, certainly the parts of Malaysia that I grew up in, we don't serve our otak otak with peanut sauce, but they've actually gone to the trouble of making peanut sauce with this otak otak, so it'll be interesting to see how it turns out as well. Now, the grilled otak otak, this looks almost identical to the otak otak that I sell, but like I said, this is made with crab meat and a little bit of fish, and I'm going to taste test this a little bit. Okay, the flavors are pretty close, so what I've done here is I've just got a little bit of sugar syrup that I'm just going to brush over this. Okay, I think that works much better. So we're going to stick with this, and I'm going to tell the guys, just grill it like this, and then just brush a little bit of sugar syrup over it, and hopefully people will enjoy the otak otak. Like I said, this looks almost identical to my one. Chicken and prawn dumplings is one of the most popular dishes I sell back in Sydney. I still sell it at one of my market stalls in Orange Grove Public School. Now, usually I would poach the chicken and prawn dumplings, and then serve them on a bed of Chinese greens and drizzle some sauce over it. Today they're making them into shooters, so we're going to make some chicken broth in a tall glass with a chicken dumpling inside. Also, the chicken broth, I felt like it needed kind of like a richer, sort of like slightly sweet undertone to it sort of thing. So we're just playing around the flavors of the chicken broth at the moment, and also the chicken dumpling, I've asked for them to poach it instead of steam it, because steaming it, although it retains the flavors, it kind of like makes it a little bit al dente. The one thing that we're trying to work through at the moment is what I gave them as my ayam goreng recipe. Ayam goreng is fried chicken, and I gave them the recipe, and what they've actually done is use chicken mince because they're trying to make them into small popcorn-sized fried chicken, okay? I've taste tested it, and I've just asked them to see if we can play around with the flavors a little bit. This is my ayam goreng recipe, but what they've done is they've used my ayam goreng marinade and used it on chicken mince, and then they've crumbed it and then deep fried it. Okay. The flavors are good, but what I thought was it needs a little bit of a kick to it. And what they've done here is this is a genius idea from the chef, and what they've done is just mixed up a little bit of seasoning powder. This is essentially 5-spice powder, a local 5-spice powder with a little bit of chicken seasoning, a little bit of sugar in here. And we thought that what we might do is just kind of like coat it a little bit before it's served out. Now, I don't generally use 5-spice powder, I have to admit, because I tend to find the flavors quite overpowering. But I think it actually really works with this particular dish. So my ayam goreng looks nothing like the ayam goreng that they've made here, but it uses the same marinade ingredients, and we're just gonna toss it in a bit of this seasoning mix before we serve it. I think it's just given it a perfect